So proud of everyone. Thank you for the beautiful hymns. Well, just in a few minutes, I'll just say contemplation on the life of Saint Mina and the crown of martyrdom. And then Ibn al-Masih will say a few words in Arabic. So, when we talk about the crown of martyrdom for Saint Mina, we saw that he received 3 crowns. But when you talk about the saints and martyrs generally, we talk about the crown of martyrdom, and we're all used to the crown of martyrdom as shedding of blood. So someone who sacrifices his life because he believes in our Lord Jesus Christ, and he or she are willing to go all the way to sacrifice their life for God. And this is, thank you. We say this so easily because we see and we hear about the stories of the martyrs, and we sort of maybe we see a movie for an hour or two, and we see it was like something quickly, something simple, but we don't understand what's actually behind that. Behind that is a lot of strength, a lot of courage, and for someone to reach a level, to be able to give up their life for God. But even if you look at the story of Saint Mina, even a few facts about his life that maybe we don't even pay attention to. At the age of 11, his father passed away. And then 3 years later, his mother passed away. So at the age of 14, he was an orphan. He had no father, no mother at the age of 14. Very critical age. As a teenager, at the age of 14, he had no father, no mother. And because he's from a noble family, he took the position of his father. He was a Roman soldier in the army, a very high position at that time. And despite all that, he left all this for God and went to the desert. So he was at the peak of his life. Someone at a young youth. And even when he was martyred at the age of 24. 24. So all his life was 24 years. But look at the amount of courage and strength he had to be able to reach a level. Someone at the prime of his youth, when he had everything, he was very rich, and he had positions, he had status, he had power, he had money, he had everything a youth would dream about. But he was willing and joyfully left all that and went to have a solitude with our Lord Jesus Christ. And not just that, he was willing to live his life for Christ in solitude, but because he heard God telling him and showing him a vision about the heavens open and the people receiving crowns. So he wanted to receive that crown. And that's why he went and confessed his faith before the governor and received the crown of martyrdom. So this is very common at that time, at the 3rd or the 4th century, with all the persecution. We hear of martyrs. But nowadays, now in our times, okay, do we have martyrdom by blood? Yes, we just saw examples of recent saints like the saints of Libya. They were recent martyrs. And we read about these saints like Saint Mina and other martyrs in the Synaxarium, but their Synaxarium was a video. That was the Synaxarium. So instead of reading the story, just watch the video of their martyrdom, okay? And this tells us that the church is actually bringing or giving birth to martyrs every day. But the word martyrdom means a witness. Even in Arabic, shaheed, from shahada, or witness. Witnessing. Witnessing to Christ. And I'm sure the simple martyrs of Libya who left Upper Egypt and went to Libya to work and get some money for their poor families back in Egypt, I don't think one day they thought that their witness to Christ as martyrs will go all the way to all over the world. Will go all the way to even Australia. I'll share a story with you that happened with me personally. I was doing shopping in actually a fruit shop, and I was buying some fruit. Then an Australian man came and asked me, he said, "Are you a Coptic priest?" I said, "Oh, how do you know? Do you know about Copts?" He said, "Yes." And he went like that, and he showed me. He had a cross like mine. I said, "That's a Coptic cross." Are you Coptic? He said, no. But I did this cross in honor of the martyrs of Libya. I heard about them, and in their honor I went and I got that cross on my hand. Can you believe it? An Australian man. He was really moved and inspired by the martyr story that he went and got that because he knew that the Copts have this sign, so he went and did it. Isn't it amazing? So they witnessed all over the world by being strong Christians and living up their Christian faith, even if it cost them their life. That may be, and I heard that story, by the way, many people, there was a story in Melbourne, someone told me in Melbourne, someone met someone as well, Australian, who did the same thing. A lot of people, many times when I was walking on the street, I remember in particular one day someone stopped me and say, you Coptic priests, yes, he said, we know you're going through a lot of persecutions in Egypt, and we really feel for you, and they were really, really feeling for us, and we are known as the church, the persecuted church. And we're very proud and honored to be called Copts and sons and daughters of the martyrs and of the persecuted church. Because that's a witness, and that's the whole point of being a martyr, is to actually be a witness to Christ. But what's our role? We are their children, so we have to witness as well. We may not be given the chance to have martyrdom with blood or blood martyrdom, but it doesn't have to be that. We also have bloodless martyrdom, so martyrdom without blood. When you actually witness for Christ every day, when you are persecuted for Christ on different levels. Many of us suffer and see persecutions at work, or at universities, or at school, or on the streets, wherever we go. We may suffer some level of persecution, whether it's direct or indirect persecutions, because we're Christians. When we don't want to follow what the world is following, when we're actually saying no to evil, when we don't want to participate with someone who's doing something wrong, when we don't want to cheat, when we don't want to commit fraud, when we don't want to lie, when we want to stand for the Christian faith and say things like same-sex marriage is wrong and people attack us, that's being a martyr. That's standing up for what is right, standing up for what Christ taught us. We may get persecuted. I may not get promoted in that next level of work because I'm a Christian with Christian values. That's your martyrdom. I may not get the extra marks compared to someone who cheated in the exam, but I said, I'll never cheat because I'm a Christian. That's your martyrdom. I may be strong and not hold any grudges against someone who insulted me. That's martyrdom. I may sacrifice my life for my wife or my husband and go through a tough marriage, a rough marriage, and because I know that marriage is a sacrament and I need to sacrifice for my family, then I can't be a martyr in that marriage as a husband or a wife. And we put the crowns on the husband and the wife on the matrimony ceremony. One of the symbols is martyrdom, because the husband needs to sacrifice for the wife and the wife for the husband. That's a type of martyrdom, because there's a lot of sacrifice involved in a relationship like that. All these are different types of martyrdom that we can experience on a daily basis at different levels. And that's how we can be truly sons and daughters of the martyrs. Our church is the Church of Martyrs, and we are continuing that. And as we're celebrating today the feast of Saint Mina, our patron saint of this beautiful church, we look at his life and look what he sacrificed, and we tell ourselves, we may not be at that level, but we're going to start. We're going to start the first step. I may not be able to sacrifice my life, but what am I prepared to sacrifice today? Christ sacrificed everything for me, but what am I prepared to sacrifice for him today? It may be that sin that I love. Help me today, God, through the intercession of Saint Mina, to be a martyr and sacrifice that sin by stopping it, stopping the addiction, stopping that particular sin that's beloved to me, or do things that I wanted to do. I've been delaying them for a long time. Or really have a pure heart and stop focusing on the external image and work on purifying my heart, as we said today in the sermon during the liturgy. Many things I can do without counting the cost, because God gave us everything. So what if we suffer for Christ? This is our calling. So what if there's inconvenience? So what if I don't get the thing in the world and other people get it because they are not following what Christ did? I don't have to look at myself as a disadvantage. I look myself as I take the blessings of that martyrdom. And that's how we grow in our spiritual life. That's how we grow, and that's how we look at all these saints and martyrs and actually follow the footsteps. That's how we live the life of martyrdom in our everyday life. We ask for intercession of Saint Mina to be with us and strengthen us and help us to be true light in a darkened world and to be true salt to the world, so we can actually show people what Christ is like. We are ambassadors for Christ, and we need to point people to Christ. As these simple martyrs, their lives and the stories came all over the world and people inspired by them, don't underestimate how much change you can do in everyone's life. Your behavior, your conduct as a Christian will leave an impact on someone you may not even know now, but will come later. That's how, if we live the life of martyrdom. Glory be to God forever.